I'm AJ Schub along with Courtney Cronin. And Courtney, we just witnessed the first win in the Kevin Wilson era. The Indiana Hoosiers took down the South Carolina State Bulldogs 38-21 at Memorial Stadium. How big of a win for the Indiana Hoosiers is this going into the North Texas game?
I mean, you say it there perfectly, AJ. This is a big win because A, it propels momentum, B, finally they won today. They followed Kevin Wilson's message, but really these guys haven't had a win since the Purdue game last year. Well, that wasn't really that long ago. After a tumultuous season, after everything they went through with a new coach, they finally got back on track. It was against an FCS opponent. However you want to put that, if it's more meaningful, less meaningful than if they were to win against a Big Ten opponent, it's still something. They needed to get the ball moving, and they finally did it today.
You said it correctly, Courtney. They did get the ball moving. Kevin Wilson's offense was in full effect today. The Hoosiers had 90 plays compared to 68 plays by South Carolina State, which is exactly what Kevin Wilson wants in his fast-paced offense. Leading that fast-paced offense is redshirt sophomore Ed Wright-Baker, who in his third start looked a lot more composed, but he still had some mishaps, which Kevin Wilson spoke about later on in the press conference.
Absolutely. And the one thing that they talked about, or Kevin Wilson talked about, was that fumble. He got pulled out, and he kind of had a little bit of an attitude problem about it. Coach Wilson and Wright-Baker were both on the sideline. They were not too happy with each other after that, but he's a young guy. He's still learning. He's no Ben Chappell, which I think is what people kind of need to start realizing, that while there are a lot of these rookie mistake type things, he's still very young. And after the during the press conference, Kevin Wilson had this to say about that.
Like the turnover we had, we go down there and we miss some things in the past. Now, again, the thing Ed is doing great is he's not forcing the ball and throwing it into traffic. But sometimes, I think he's either getting bluffed or he's afraid to let it go sometimes, because sometimes I think it's there. He needs to cut it and rip it. And I'm tired of sometimes just seeing guys scramble, because that looks like our third down package. Drop down, Ed, hang a second, and take off running. And that's not what we're trying to accomplish. And that being said, he ran around. He's running with the ball all over the place. Costs us points. If you fumble, you come out of the game. The way he was playing, I typically don't do that with the quarterback. We do that with everyone else. But the way he's playing, let's give Dusty a chance.
And you could see the frustration that Kevin Wilson had towards Wright-Baker, but he is young and he is learning. More young people on this team. The theme of this year has been the play of the true freshmen. Today there are 3 freshmen that started on that offensive line, and they accounted for much of Indiana's 19 penalties.
I'll explain about this later in the show, but AJ, you're absolutely right. But I think the biggest thing that was talked about at post-game was Andrew McDonald, a senior right tackle, accounting for 5 of Indiana's 19 penalties. You don't want to see that coming out of a senior player at all. I know that Will Maddie spoke about it after the game, being like, these are mistakes, we'll learn from them. But when you're not communicating and you're a senior guy, you're supposed to be a leader out there. I can understand it from the 3 offensive linemen that were freshmen that played, but not from somebody who's been here for 4 or 5 years. Not at all.
Andrew's been, he's actually been one guy that I think's truly embraced what we're trying to do. His practice habits are awesome, and he's playing with more energy and effort than I think if you ask him. So he might have some glitches, but I'll kind of give him the benefit of the doubt because I appreciate how hard he's been working. So, I'd like to move forward and not see that repeat itself a great deal. And as much as you play, you are going to have a glitch and have a penalty. I get that. But we would love for him to take that out, and we'll talk about it. And I'd like to think he's mature enough, and the way he's practiced, I'd like to think he could eliminate that. That'll be interesting to see.
And like Will Maddie said, he's the leader of that team. They will improve, and it's a game-by-game basis. The Hoosiers will go into North Texas 1-2. Their last non-conference game before Penn State comes into town. We'll send it back to you guys at the anchor desk with more.